The Poughkeepsie house neighbors in Poughkeepsie swore the odor arrived overnight sweet. Chemical, like rotting flowers, pressed under a hot car hood. They called it summertime. Then a dead raccoon. Then not their business. By the end of the week, the smell had a gravity. It pulled eyes to one house, the sagging one with blinds, always shut, and a neat row of trash cans that never moved. When officers finally knocked, Kendall opened the door like a man answering a survey. Calm. Polite. Behind him, the darkness seemed stuffed, as if the house were full of a storm with no wind. A wave of scent broke over the porch, wet copper, spoiled syrup, dirt that's been watered with something other than rain. Mind if we take a look? They did not wait. Inside, paths worn through piles, laundry, papers, buckets, plastic sheeting. A fan turned, useless. Flies roared like distant traffic. The smell had layers. Even the drywall breathed it. The first officer gagged into his sleeve and kept moving. The second lifted a hanging sheet and froze. At the end of the narrow hall, a bedroom door stood open on a wedge of wood. The bed was made with hospital corners and a threadbare throw. Against the wall, a dresser held 8 hairbrushes. Each was lined with clean, white cardstock. Hair arranged like museum specimens, labeled in a careful hand. Girl 1, GIRL 2. Up to 8. No names. Just numbers. The brushes were spotless. The house was not. I need air, someone said, voice small. They followed the smell to its center. The basement door stuck, then let go like a mouth unsealing. Steps creaked under their weight. The light down there was a bulb with a chain pull and a slow afterglow, as if reluctant to illuminate. What the bulb finally admitted were shapes in the cement gloom, bundled outlines in contractor bags, gray tape gleaming in stripes. The bundles weren't lined up, not exactly. They were kept the way a tired person stacks winter clothes. Clothes leaned, making room for more. A fan ticked against a bag until the tape quivered like a throat. Kendall, an officer said, the name breaking on a dry tongue. What is this? Kendall's smile didn't change. I tried to fix the smell, he said, but it comes from the walls now. The officer nearest the bundles swallowed and crouched. He put a gloved hand to a seam and felt the tapest's tack pull back like a lip. Inside, beneath plastic, something shifted. Not movement settling. The way a couch cushion remembers a body. A line of ants traveled the concrete and vanished under the bag. They came out clean on the other side. Upstairs, another officer found 8 Polaroids taped in a grid behind a calendar. Women-ass faces, in the soft flash of a cheap camera, each framed in the same room with the same bedspread. The same throw. A 9th square of tape, weighted, empty and dustless, like it had been peeled and replaced recently. A radio crackled on someone's belt, but none of them heard the words. Why 8? Someone asked, as if math could cauterize horror. Kendall looked toward the ceiling, listening to whatever the house kept humming to itself. Because the house knows where to put them, he said. You don't understand. They fit here now. Ifimaba 1, the smell gets worse. The officer with the Polaroids pressed his thumb to the empty tape square. It stuck to the glove and came away clean. The bare drywall beneath showed the faint rectangular dust shadow of a missing photo. There's only 8, he said, too loud. In the basement, the bulb flickered. The bundles seemed to shift a fraction, as if the house were taking a breath. A rookie, trying to sound brave, grabbed the nearest bag and dragged. It slid with a wet, husk scrape. The fan tipped and fell, hitting the concrete with a tinny gong. The smell thickened, punching the back of every throat. From somewhere behind the furnace, something sighed in a voice full of flies. Stop, Kendall said softly. You'll wake her. Her. The rookie's face bleached. Her who? Kendall tilted his head, listening again, like the house was speaking through the lumber, through the pipes. The one who doesn't like numbers, he said. The one who wanted names. Upstairs, a cabinet door swung open with a slow, complaining yawn. Inside were 8 wallets arranged like altarpieces. IDs fanned above them, first names underlined once, last names twice. On the shelf below, a cheap plastic label maker. In the dust, at the back of the cabinet, a footprint pointed inward. The thud sounded from the basement, like a large hand slapping the underside of the floor. The hallway mirror trembled. The smell didn't just fill the air now. It felt like it had hands. "Everyone out," the sergeant said, voice gone tight. "Now? Now?" They backed up the stairs, boots slipping on grit. The basement bulb flared, popped, and went dark. But something in that darkness kept pale time, like a breath that wasn't theirs. On the main floor, the officers staggered for the door, gulping night like water. The street smelled like wet leaves and relief. On the porch, Kendall didn't run. He stood with his hands folded, watching them. Calm / polite. "It's better if you leave the bags where they are," he offered. "It keeps the house quiet." "We're securing the scene," the sergeant snapped, more for his own spine than anyone else's. "This place is a crime scene." Kendall looked past him, into the black square of his own front door. His voice dropped, almost fond. "It's also a mouth." The rookie, shaking, reached for his cuffs. The street lights flickered once, from inside the house, behind the basement door. A drag sound started plastic on concrete, slow and deliberate, like something that had memorized the way out. "Do you hear that?" someone whispered. They did, and beneath the drag, a soft, sticky chorus, 8 syllables long, coming up through the joists like a lullaby, sung through teeth. Not numbers. Names. One of the Polaroids upstairs flipped off its tape and drifted to the floor, face down, as if laying itself to rest. The 9th square on the wall waited. A blank that wasn't empty anymore, just hungry, when they led Kendall down the steps and into the street. A breeze moved through the block, bending the trees, lifting the smell like steam. Neighbors peered through curtains. A woman crossed herself. Somewhere a dog tried to howl and only coughed. They put him in the back of the cruiser, glass between them, air fresh for the first time in an hour. The sergeant radioed for more units, more tape, more everything. As he spoke, his chest loosened, mind clearing. Then the cruiser's onboard camera pinged and woke, screen blue-white. The feed showed the back seat, empty. The sergeant turned slowly. Kendall sat behind the glass, hands folded, smiling at nothing. Or maybe at something that had already climbed in and sat with him, just to see how numbers feel. The screen kept showing emptiness, and for a long second, the car smelled like the house. Then, as if satisfied, it didn't. The feed reverted to static. They drove him away while the house watched through its open door. Quiet now, the smell retracting like a tongue. Inside, in the cabinet, the label maker hummed, printed one clean strip, and spit it onto the shelf. Not Girl 9. A name, the rookies, spelled right.